A long time ago, in the kingdom of Umuaro, which was filled with thick forests and old rivers, there was a prophecy that frightened the royal family. Mama Neka, the village seer, was a blind woman with cloudy white eyes. During one of her visions, she spoke about a sad future for the family. She said, "The first daughter of the house of Obinna will sleep not by her own choice. Her breath will stop, her spirit will linger, and darkness will celebrate. Only a brave person who walks through death and comes back can wake her up." King Obinna and Queen Amara were very worried when they heard this. At the time, they did not have any children, but the seer's words haunted them like dark shadows. To try to change what was meant to be, they asked priests for advice, performed rituals to cleanse their spirits, and honored the gods of the land and rivers. They even buried protective charms under the palace walls and whispered prayers into the wind, hoping to change the prophecy, but nothing worked. One stormy night when there was thunder but no rain, and owls made unusual sounds, Queen Amara began to give birth. By the time the sun came up, they had a beautiful baby girl. They named her Adaeze, which means daughter of a king. Her arrival brought joy and also fear. As she cried for the first time, the moon hid behind the clouds, and dogs howled throughout the kingdom. They knew they had to call the seer again. When Mama Neka arrived, she leaned heavily on her staff and gently touched the baby. "It has begun," she said before falling into a deep trance. The room suddenly became very cold, and everyone felt the weight of her words. Adaeze grew up to be a healthy and lively young woman. She had a strong curiosity about the world around her and a laugh that flowed like a river. Even though the king put many guards, wise elders, and good luck charms around her for protection, there are things that destiny can bring, no matter how much you try to keep them away. Behind the grand palace was a place called the Umuaro forest. The elders warned that it was cursed, and because of that, no one dared to go close to it, not even the animals. The trees there twisted in unusual shapes, and strange whispers floated through the air near its edges, making it seem even more mysterious. One sunny day, while exploring with her maids, 16-year-old Adaeze noticed a narrow path hidden by vines and a crumbling wall. The air felt different there, humming with energy. She felt a strong urge to step onto the path. Despite her maids telling her to be careful and not to go alone, Adaeze decided to walk down the path by herself. As she ventured deeper into the woods, she discovered a small, run-down hut surrounded by black feathers and broken clay pots. Sitting outside was an old woman, bent over and dressed in worn, ragged clothes. "Child of royalty," the old woman said in a shaky voice, "do you want to know the true strength you possess?" Adaeze felt unsure. "Who are you?" she asked, trying not to be afraid. "I am the weaver of fate," the woman replied. "Come closer, touch the sacred spindle, and you will see things you never imagined." Against her better judgment, Adaeze stepped forward. The woman handed her a long spindle, beautifully carved with strange symbols. When Adaeze lightly touched the tip, a sharp pain shot through her body, causing her to gasp and then collapse to the ground. Suddenly, the woman's eyes glowed bright red, and she vanished into the forest with a chilling laugh. Back at the palace, Adaeze's maids panicked and called for help. They found Adaeze lying still in the forest, her eyes closed, her body cold, but she was still breathing. Healers from all over the land were called to help. They burned sweet-smelling incense, chanted prayers, and rubbed her body with holy oils, hoping to wake her up. But nothing worked. She was alive, but she seemed unreachable, lost in a deep sleep in a place we cannot understand. Mama Neka was brought in once again. She leaned over the princess and cried softly. "She has fallen," she said in a hushed voice. "The witch Ekwensu has taken her spirit. Only someone very special can come back from death to wake her now." King Obinna decided to place the princess in a special room at the top of the tallest tower in the kingdom. He made sure every door and window was sealed with sacred symbols, keeping her safe. As days turned into weeks, the kingdom grew darker and more sad. The joyful laughter of the princess was no longer heard in the palace halls. Meanwhile, in the neighboring kingdom of Nri, a young prince named Emeka heard stories about the sleeping princess. While many people laughed and thought it was just a fairy tale, he believed there was truth in the legend. He began to dream of her, seeing her beautiful face in his visions and feeling that he was meant to help her. The pull of destiny was strong, and he knew he had to do something. Emeka traveled to the land of Umuaro because he wanted to find the tower. When he saw Adaeze, even though she was asleep, he felt a deep sadness in his heart and a strong wish to help her. He went to see Mama Neka, asking for her guidance. "The path to her soul is beyond the veil," Mama Neka explained. "You must enter the spirit realm. It is a scary place filled with death, pain, and tricks. Many go there, but only a few come back." "I will go," Emeka said boldly. That night, when the blood moon hung in the sky, he drank a potion that Mama Neka had made. As he drank, he felt his spirit leave his body, entering a dark and shadowy realm. There, he heard spirits screaming in the wind, and the ground felt like it was bleeding beneath his feet. He traveled through eerie swamps, climbed steep cliffs made of bones, and faced 3 important challenges: the trial of fear, the trial of truth, and the trial of love. In the last trial, he arrived at the home of Ekwensu, an old woman he recognized from the forest. Now, she appeared as a frightening creature with empty eyes and hair that looked like writhing snakes. "You want the girl?" she hissed. "She belongs to me." "You have no right to her," Emeka replied, holding up a special blade that Mama Neka had blessed. Ekwensu unleashed terrifying visions and torments, figures of doubt and flames of regret, but Emeka pushed through his fears. With a loud shout, he stabbed the blade into her heart. Ekwensu screamed in pain, her voice so loud it cracked the very sky of the spirit realm. Then, she turned to ash and disappeared. In the center of the cave, he discovered a gourd filled with a glowing liquid, the antidote to the spell that put Adaeze to sleep. Emeka drank half of it and poured the rest over his chest. In an instant, he felt his spirit being pulled back into his body. The bells of the palace rang out loudly as Emeka woke up. With the help of Mama Neka, he climbed the tall tower to reach the room where Princess Adaeze lay. The air felt heavy and thick, and there was no sound from the wind. Emeka knelt down beside Adaeze, gently leaning closer. He whispered softly, "Please come back to us, Princess. The darkness can't hold you anymore." Then, he placed a gentle kiss on her forehead. Suddenly, the air around them seemed to shimmer with light. Adaeze gasped as she sat up, her eyes wide open. She looked confused but was finally alive again. Joy erupted throughout the palace. The sound of drums filled the air, and bright fires lit up the night sky. King Obinna, filled with emotion, hugged the prince tightly, tears of happiness streaming down his face. "You have brought our daughter back to us. What would you like as your reward?" the king asked, still filled with joy. Emeka bowed slightly and replied, "I do not want anything for myself. But if your daughter wishes it, I would like to walk by her side." Adaeze, still feeling a little weak, looked at Emeka and smiled warmly at him. Meanwhile, the witch's hut deep in the forest crumbled into nothing. Her dark curses began to fade away. But Mama Neka warned everyone in the kingdom, saying, "The darkness sleeps, but it never truly dies. Always guard your hearts and your souls." Later on, Adaeze and Emeka got married. Their union was not just a twist of fate, it was built on the strong bond they formed between life and death. Together, they ruled wisely and worked hard to rebuild their home, Umuaro, turning it into a place where tradition was honored and courage blossomed. The story of how Adaeze fell into a deep sleep and was saved spread from one generation to the next. It was not just a magical love story, but also a reminder, sometimes, our curiosity can awaken dangers we are better off avoiding. In the shadowy parts of the Umuaro forest, on certain nights when the moon is hidden, travelers have shared tales of hearing an old woman's laughter and spotting a shiny spindle resting in the dirt, waiting patiently. Waiting for the next person to come along.